Hey, beautiful people. We are back from the weekend with an all-new episode of Point of View. There's a lot to catch up on with our guest co-host, Willie Montague. Welcome back. Welcome back. Looking very presidential.
All right. Donald Trump.
Coming up, a federal judge refuses to dismiss the Central Park 5 defamation case against former President Donald Trump. Not the former. Lord forgive me. And we have the latest on that, plus an update on the viral story out of NYC where a woman punched a pro-life interviewer mid-interview. And of course, we've got your favorite segment, Girlfriend's Guide, along with plenty more hot topics. So pull up a seat and join the discussion. You're watching Point of View. The Central Park 5 are making headlines again, and this time they're taking President Donald Trump to court. A federal judge just refused to toss out their defamation case, which means President Trump will have to answer for questions he made during a 2024 debate claiming the men were guilty. Many people thought that this chapter was closed, but this case is moving forward and bringing a lot of old wounds back to the surface. How do you guys feel about this? Willie, we're always throwing it to you unapologetically.
So let's start with here. In the court of law, the law has already determined that they are not guilty. We do understand that oftentimes when President Trump makes statements that it could be misspoken. I believe that if we go back and look at some of the things that he will acknowledge that what he was saying was an error. And if you actually listen to if you actually go back and see, this is about justice. They have the right to sue because they believe that it's defamation against them because they have already been found not guilty by a court of their peers. Now, what bothers me is that it's always President Trump that has been thrown into the mix of this. These guys are not guilty. Let them sue. Let the court go through the process, and y'all leave the great mighty President Trump.
I was a little bit confused. I know that you advocate for President Trump here. Right. I mean, I hope that it works out to your advantage at some point soon.
Yeah, soon.
What I'm figuring out is that, in 1989, Donald Trump took out 4 full-page spreads.
Right. What is the where's the error?
Persuading the public that these young men were guilty of crimes that they did not commit, and that they should go to jail and get the death penalty.
That's what he said.
So I mean, what hook should he be off now?
Error?
It's one thing if you said that he was in error, even though he never admitted it, and you had left it at that. But then you like to go on and advocate for a flagrant liar. Who just has the besetting sin of lying? I don't think the truth is nowhere in him. And who don't have the truth nowhere in him? Hey, I don't have to quote the words.
Well, a lot of people, not just President Trump, but a lot of people have no.
The devil ain't got the truth nowhere in him.
And there's a lot of.
And he got his son working right along with it.
Well, Michael and
don't do that. Don't do that.
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't saying that. No, not Willie.
See,
Willie's daddy, maybe. Who's obviously, who.
But as I was saying, if you look at this is talk about legal thing. Y'all are just jumping on President Trump. The legalities of the matter.
Action.
At that time in 1989, God's sakes, I was 2 years old. So at that time that took place, it probably was a lot of people thinking that these people was guilty. Look at how many people and what they did with OJ.
It's how far he went.
But he go
on the campaign trail as well.
What about
accountability at the end of the day? And even though it was so many people that were maybe on a similar bandwagon at the time, taking out 4 full-page
to
ads
convince
you were overworking overtime to persuade people for these men to lose their lives.
But he didn't have no idea.
What if they died?
This is what I'm saying.
Over a lie.
They have been found not guilty.
That's your good old.
They are free. We have to acknowledge the present.
Okay.
What I'm saying is, What I'm saying is,
but isn't he up on other charges, felony, like 32 counts? And he actually is guilty, right? The court found him guilty. They didn't find these young men guilty. Thank God. Thank God. That their blood not on his hands. That's what he should be grateful for. But he don't need no forgiveness.
So is Cat Williams.
He loves God, but he don't need no forgiveness.
Willie.
Cat Williams.
What that cat
Willie,
don't
that
got
was
nothing
a
to do with
real
it, okay?
You just trying to throw us off.
Right. Cat don't got nothing to do with
There's
it.
no Cat Williams now.
I'm just saying, Cat Williams had charges too. And he's walking around felonies, no conviction. Same thing
We
with President
talking
Trump.
about your president, your
But
good old president.
but is he locked up?
He is not. That's what's
He
said.
should be.
But
That's what's
how
said.
many people? This is the sad part.
They not locked-
If it was any other black individual that same way, y'all would want these people to be walking around here free.
What do you mean?
What do you
If they
mean?
would-
No, that's
because-
Don't you say
a
that.
lie.
Did not a court
no,
say
not if
that,
they're
that
not
he
guilty.
had a court not found that they were not going to punish? They said that they
They
looked
did
at his
punish
case.
them. They were in jail
looked
for a very long time.
They sure were.
Not.
They lost their
She talking
childhood
about
and
President
everything.
Trump.
Oh.
Okay.
And I'm trying to say that in that you brought him up.
Black? You said if it was any
You
other
just
black
said that he was
person.
Donald Jerome Trump the other
He
day.
is Donald Jerome
So
Trump,
did he-
but we're talking about these 5 men.
Listen, I do not condone anything that is facing against or coming against people who have been especially found not guilty and they're wanting to live their life free. I've seen it happen when people have been innocent and they have spent countless number of years behind bars. What I'm trying to say, in the present day, we know that President Trump oftentimes he says, I think that because of the fact that people have such a hatred of President Trump, you have not given them enough time to be able to come back and redact anything or to
Okay, but
correct those
forget the
things.
redaction.
From how long
What I
ago?
want to know
1989,
is,
you
do
said?
you, Willie, do you feel like they are owed some type of restitution, maybe for what Donald Trump caused or for the false evidence or whatever, but do you think that anything is owed to them for the time that they were
spent in
Exactly.
jail.
Yes.
But were they
And
now? This is the
literally
thing.
losing their childhood, their
if
life.
the restitution is to pay them for the time they were spent in jail because it is proven that it was because of President Trump, then yes. But the question is, how do you prove that that jail time was due just solely because of the 4 ads and not because of the undue process of our justices?
I mean,
He was advertising for them to go to jail
Right,
and
but-
die.
for major New York papers. But we gotta
Hear
move on
what
to
I
our-
said though. I asked the question.
I'm glad that
y'all
the
bring me back. I
defamation-
asked the question.
I'm glad the
Please.
defamation suit is still
Please,
going
I don't want to talk
forward.
about Donald Jerome Trump no more.
Listen, while we are on the topic of New York and Central Park, last week we talked about a viral clip of an NYC woman punching a pro-life activist during a street interview. Well, there's been an update. 30-year-old Brianna J. Rivers has now been arrested and officially charged with second-degree assault. If you missed it, let's rewind and take a look at this.
Should just kill them.
Statistics before you come to me talking about pro-life.
We should kill the victims of molestation.
I think, what does this have to do with molestation?
You just mentioned people
What I'm
molesting
saying
children.
is,
We should
in
kill the kids in
general,
foster care is what you said.
overall. What I'm saying is, in general, overall, if I don't want to have a baby, I should have the choice to.
Just don't have
the
sex
baby or
then.
not. Even as teens, people explore. And it's like, as funny as you want to be, people should still have the choice. I think that you just don't understand the magnitude of having a child.
I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been
That's
abused.
not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really. Should just kill them.
Statistics before you come to me.
I'm mad that y'all got me to turn around and look at that again because I had long since stopped watching that. That 2-piece I can't even talk about no more. Last week we said it was Popeyes. It sure wasn't KFC, but that was really, really hard to watch. But my thought still stands that I do believe that the interviewer was provoking. I know it's a friend of yours, Willie. In all due respect, we wish her the best. I hope that I heal well, baby. But you're gonna learn to stop pushing these people buttons in these streets.
Stop playing with people.
Well, the
Stop
thing
playing with
is,
people.
you ought to be able to use your First Amendment right to be able to address issues. There was no contact at that time. They were interviewing. The lady did not have to take that interview, so it's both sides. She took that interview. The question, if you felt like you were getting heated to that point, you know that you are a bad actor, then you need to withdraw yourself and walk away from the scene and get away from those type of things. So don't stand there. No. If you're being interviewed, not the interviewee.
I just wanted the people at home, to know who you were talking about.
Y'all know what I'm saying. Okay. Now, if you're the one that's being interviewed and you felt like you just getting in this intense moment, then walk away. You got to have emotional intelligence.
I think she wanted a moment, and she got.
Well, let me just say
No,
this.
she for sure wanted that moment, and I don't know. I know you don't spend a lot of time on
provoking it.
social media. as I don't, but I know you spend less time than me just because I anyways. So, I've seen a lot of clips and videos like this where people are going out and they're interviewing or they're, welcoming people
Literally
to the grocery
provoking
store
people.
and they are trying to get that viral content.
Yeah. Yes.
So let's just be honest.
Yes.
We can tell by the way that she was responding, even though the lady had her good New York accent and tone going where she was ready for war, she still had valid points and she really wasn't pushing the envelope. Mm-hmm. But the interviewer, your friend, she was overdoing it and she got overdone.
We are praying for you. I am, Savannah. So I'm
Don't
glad.
try to sue that lady, Savannah. We know you're going to do it.
I'm glad.
She's a good woman, Savannah.
Lock her up where she's going and let her take these second-degree assault charges because it is assault.
It is assault, but this is why they need to do the podcast from the house, baby.
Well, the thing is,
be
we have to say it was assault. Once you put your hands on somebody else, it was assault. Now, I told Savannah personally, I said, Savannah, this is why you need guards. You can't carry weapons in New York, but why you need guards and you need to learn how to fight. Because I would just knock the back out.
Oh, yeah, she definitely need to learn how to fight because there was no reaction. Like, she just let it happen to her.
Yeah, that was pure shock, but she knew she was going to get that lawsuit.
Well, how about she just don't provoke anybody and just ask the question?
Do you see what that says up there? Read that, Raquel. Live action. She works for an organization.
And that's fine,
that's
but
her
to
job,
get her point across and to have the conversation, she doesn't have to be, like, it doesn't always have to be thought
an aggressor.
Yeah.
She was an aggressor in the conversation.
She wasn't the aggressor, y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, she was in the conversation. She didn't deserve that.
Sitting there asking the question
to
protect the lives of the
Don't hit
unborn.
anybody, people. Walk away.
Listen, we have all jokes aside. Sorry, Savannah. We have to take a quick commercial break, but coming up right after this, we have Girlfriend's Guide in Mind, Body, and Soul. Stay tuned. You're watching POV.
Hey, y'all. Happy Monday.
Hey.
I got a question. So what is the pettiest reason you've ever stopped talking to somebody? And do you regret it?
Y'all ready to go? Because y'all look quiet.
Okay, great.
It's Monday. I'm here. I wasn't here on Friday. I got to make up for it. Yes. I don't know if this is petty, but maybe by someone's standards it is. I once stopped talking to someone because of the way she spoke to her mom. And
like a friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I stand on that 100% because at the end of the day, like, our parents can be provoking, but like if I hear you like blatantly disrespecting your parent, I'm done. You're not my type of girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Like straight up. Like let your mama have that.
Okay.
That's not.
Yeah,
that's
the most you might say, "Ma, I gotta go," blah blah. But when you going toe to toe, you got all the words for your mama, baby. I'm cool on you.
Yeah. Okay, mine is I stopped romantically talking to someone because like all the time they breath stink.
Ooh,
like
that's not petty.
All the time. All the time.
I had some clients like that back in the day.
All the time, though.
And I wanted to unfriend them or just block them from my books so bad. And imagine standing over them at the shampoo bowl, baby, and they up talking to you.
No, running their mouth. No.
Well, tomorrow smell like garlic, so they got to be careful of what's happening over here.
Mine is a person didn't respond to a text, and I still stand with it. You don't respond, then you through.
So were you finna cut me off?
I knew she was coming.
You don't make no sense.
Willie doesn't even text back. What are you talking about?
Drop down in the comments and let us know what your pettiest reason is for stop talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Let me get back to the show.
Welcome back. It's that time where we dive into all things love, life, relationships, and everything in between. Let's get into Girlfriend's Guide. All right, so y'all know that we live to keep y'all updated on the latest trends, and this one is called Switch Therapy, which is actually recommended by some relationship therapists. They must not be Bible-based if you ask me. But couples who are on the verge of breaking up intentionally dating other people, yes, you heard that right, to gain perspective on whether their current relationship is really worth saving. The goal is clarity, but let's be real. It also opens the door for a whole lot of drama, jealousy, and heartbreak. And STDs, but where y'all at with it?
Now, somebody explain this to me.
So they're saying, I guess, that you should switch your partner if you're going through a rough spell in your relationship or if it's not working out. Just switch and get a new partner. That's the new switch therapy.
This is just a professional way to be a hoe. And
Oh.
so
Are we
I
talking
just
about
think
male or female, right?
hoe, whore, gigolo, whatever you want to call
Okay.
it. So
My
I just think that's
goodness.
what it is. I mean, I'm just saying what what y'all thinking.
I don't agree with the switch therapy. I don't agree with it.
Absolutely not.
For me personally, like switching my partner because we have an issue or we have a disagreement just sounds ridiculous. If we can't work through it and figure it out, then we're just gonna be done. There is no.
That's right.
I'm gonna go over here and see what this is hitting on, and then I'm gonna come back to you. Like we're not.
Because there's
doing
nothing
that.
perfect. Where do you draw the line? Like, when is it you gonna get upset because they didn't cook a meal? Then you're gonna find another. Like, when do
Then you gonna go get a chef,
right? Like, where?
but then that chef not good in bed. They only good in the kitchen.
I don't like it. It just feels like, here's this therapy is now normalizing doing things that are just not of like
Yeah,
you
this
would say,
is
just not
stupid.
God.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
This
it's a hoe. We
just
can
not
say they had
thinking.
whore and whorish things in the Bible. Y'all scared to say the word whore.
Okay.
Calling that.
It is a
All right.
So that's what
tool.
Yes.
That's what it is. We call it Jezebelic.
A tool.
Okay.
I'm done, not Jezebel. It's so funny though because I think that growing up and having friends that weren't people of color, they dated a different way than we did. So
Like how?
like, I mean, they were serial daters. They had options, and not that we didn't have options, but we never utilized them really. You meet somebody, you like them, you go together. Y'all might have a baby on the second date.
Real bad.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Whereas they may be dating 7 people and they're vetting them out to see who is the best candidate and pick from there.
They was dating smart.
Yeah, they was hooking
We
up and what they
stupid.
called it. And did I tell y'all that I didn't realize what hooking up was until like a couple years ago? I had a friend and she constantly, would have guys around and, she would tell me, oh, we hooked up. And I'm just thinking she said like they chilled,
She
they
was
hung
getting
out.
around.
Yeah, they was hooking up.
Oh, she was loose body.
I think this
Like
kind of goes
hooking
with
up.
this switch therapy type thing, no?
That was more than switching.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
If,
think
if
that.
your
I don't
partner
know.
suggested switch therapy though, would it make you feel secure about it or maybe, into trying it?
So I have
Well, we
I
don't
have
even
a,
need to be partners no more.
Right,
You
I
know,
have,
just
I have a
something
gift
as
of
such.
discernment.
You
I'm gonna
should
be
know
fast
me
and
better than
praying,
that.
So before you even get to switch therapy, you already switched off.
That's right.
I know that's
It's like you should know me
Willie
better
said
than
he got
that
a
to say
roster.
something.
Don't play with that man.
No, done.
Listen,
I wouldn't know. If my partner suggested it, I would be like, absolutely not. This relationship is over.
It's over.
At the point that you make me feel like you want to go explore other options, this is done.
Yeah, you sound like you ready to cheat. You
Yeah,
ready to
that's,
do
that's
something.
how
This
I've
is
always,
done.
Right.
I've
Yeah.
always felt that way. Even being in a relationship when I was younger or just dating and someone proposed like
Yeah.
a threesome, like, I'm so sorry, baby, I'm not
We're
your
done.
girl. Not your girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that?
A threesome?
Yeah.
You should know better already not to say no mess to me like that. If you saying that to me, you don't know me.
0 to 100.
Let the people know, Raquel. No. Raquel is not going for that, okay? Do not
We just split Raquel switch.
I'm done. Woo.
Listen, but with so many new, techniques, trends, words, phrases coming up, with this new modern society, these young kids, these new generation, how do we think that this switch therapy is something that they're going to be implementing? And even it makes me think about, when we said a couple weeks ago that they are going to be the new millionaires. Imagine millionaires doing switch therapy. Like, oh my God, this would be like STD City.
They're a
seems
Babylonian generation.
Yeah, it
They're a
seems like
generation that knew not thy God, if you read in Judges. And so that's up to us to bring a revelation and power. You can go ahead and continue. I just want to bring a little word real fast.
It just seems like another way the world is trying to normalize things that are against God. And that's what it just seems like.
What do we
This
say about the people who
indoctrination.
are in other countries who think that it's okay to have like 7 wives and things like that?
They're living under a Levitical law from the structure that was there. That error in place is there's a revelation. Just because you're in the wilds of the jungle, there still becomes a revelation that something is not right. So no matter what we say about what people live, whatever, we even though our brains are finite, we are still connected to to the creator, whether we believe in him or not. And there's something within us, our DNA, that develops to let us know when error is in play. It's called conviction. Now, some people just need to find the Lord and find it.
I'm with you when you're right 100%.
Now listen to you.
And I'm telling you, definitely on that, because thinking about other countries and the things that happen there, I did see the other day that I can't remember which country it was that was allowing child brides, and there was a child bride 7 years old that I guess on the night that they consummated the marriage, she died, literally. So at the end of the day, that's where
she died.
Yeah, she was a little tiny baby and 7 years old. Yeah, that's how
Consummating this ungodly marriage.
Oh my God.
And she died.
Yeah, so all right,
she
y'all.
was made victim to this foolishness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But let's move on to our final segment of the day, mind, body, and soul. Yeah, we slow coasted into this one. This is a heartbreaking story out of Houston. Former LSU wide receiver and first round draft prospect of 2025 NFL draft, Kyron Lacy, has tragically passed away at just 24 years old. Authorities said it was apparent suicide following a police chase that began after a family dispute, where it's alleged he fired a gun and then fled the scene. Kyron was found in his car with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. At the time, he was also dealing with some serious legal challenges, including charges tied to a fatal car crash from late 2024. His father, Kenny Lacy, has since spoken out, urging parents to check in on their kids and have these real, vulnerable conversations about mental health. So I have a 17-year-old. He is, in love with football. He plays football for his local school. And, since the passing of Kyron, I remember over the summer and last year him watching, and staying close with Kyron's story and, just the prospect of him going to the NFL. And so he is like literally in shambles and some of his friends. And so, I did want us to talk a little bit about it today, just with these kids. And Kyron was 24, a young man, but mental health is so important. And just kind of to speak of, we all have a plan for our future and the way that we think life is supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And it's so scary sometimes to see, especially these younger kids who maybe don't have the mental resilience that we have to kind of bounce back when life just throws you blows. And so, it's so sad to see how this turned out. And, I believe it was today that he was supposed to go to court to hear about some of the proceedings of the car crash that he was involved in, where a veteran was killed in late 2024, but he's no longer with us. And so let's talk about it a little bit.
So this is emotional to me because I do work with young boys, and we've had oftentimes hear of stories of the boys that will, commit suicide. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, that I actually was on a phone call with someone yesterday, and I was telling them how, especially for young men, because I work with young men, that is a lot of times there's no outlet. I said this about people who are pastors, people who are these young teens. There's no outlet. They feel there's no place to go because they don't know who's going to tell their business, who's going to judge them, who's going to say, you need to be tough for that. You a man. And so I feel like whether it's therapy, whether it's a friend, whether it's someone, that you have to check on the mental health of the people that are around you. Tell them you love them, send a message, ask them, take them to lunch. If you ain't heard from them in a couple of days, you'll make them come out the house, because it's very important, because right now the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And people are dying left and right. I know a pastor, and then I'm done, that yesterday we got the news that he passed away. We did a service at his church, but during that time, we heard the news when we went to his service that he didn't come to service because he was battling depression. And then we hear the news yesterday that he died. It was less than a year later, and I believe that just laying there and just giving up hope. It was financial issues. It was him battling the church, people leaving the church, and so I just love one another. That's why I would say that.
Do you think like the suicide rates have increased over these past years, or maybe it's always been like this, but since we didn't have social media or whatever at the time, we didn't hear about it, but now we're hearing about it more because it's increasing? Or
it's definitely increasing.
It's always been okay.
I know a guy now that was talking to the same thing. He's young too, young man, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to make ends meet. I'm trying to provide for my family. I can't afford rent. I can't buy gas. I can't do these things. And so, you know, they go stealing, and then you go steal, you know, then you get in trouble with the law. But it's like resources only so much. You get on the phone and they tell you call this number, that number, and they done gave out the resources. So I feel like so many people are bogged down with what can we we do to help our family if we don't have the resource to do it. And so people feel like it's easy. I watched a guy, I don't know if you saw the video, the guy that was going through a court battle, and he was just crying out, and he was like, I can't. He said, I just want my children. I want to provide. I can't do it. And he killed himself right there in his car on the live stream.
My God. And we've been seeing so much of this as well. And so it had me really emotional, tied up these couple of days, and I keep trying to have that conversation with my son. But, you know, definitely if you have anyone that even seems like they may be a little bit off, my recommendation is for sure to lift them up in prayer, but check on your people, y'all. But that's a wrap for today's show. Before we head out, there's a quote for the day. Don't wait around for other people to be happy for you. Any happiness you get, you've got to take for yourself. And that is Alice Walker. Thanks for tuning in. Catch us here next time, weekdays, only on AfroTV. Good night.